Hey everyone, good to see you here today. We're chatting with Chris. Chris is the Chief Customer Officer at FairSquare, and he's hopping on to talk to us a little bit about how AI is changing things in the world of small business finance and just everything you've kind of seen as a transition in your career from Chief Marketing Officer over to now the new title of Chief Customer Officer, and what this has kind of looked like in your guys' world. So. Would you love to give us a little introduction, Chris?
Sure. Thanks a lot, Tyler. I really appreciate you having me on. My name is Chris Panebianco. As you said, I'm the Chief Customer Officer at FairSquare, which is a newer entity. It is the parent company for National Funding, QuickBridge, uh, smallbusinessloans.com, and Finova Capital. Um, Big, diverse group of financial products, but my career started in agency world on the private side. I've worked for a variety of industries, but fell in love with fintech. I was with BHG Financial, one of the largest fintechs for small business lending and now personal loans from 2009 to 2021. I did a stint with Funding Circle before they sold the US business and then came here. And it's really been a big difference from chief marketing officer to chief customer officer. It's what I always dreamt of having, not just the branding and the performance marketing. Uh, Now I'm really focused on the customer from every angle. We're looking at user experience, customer experience overall. So the whole gamut of anything that touches the customer, including our products and how we intake programs to expand our offering to change technology. And the group that I'm working with, my direct boss was someone I've known for 16 years. And he was a former CTO, former president. But in the time I've known him, his focus on technology and the proper way to implement that with the customer at the center was just such an opportunity that I couldn't turn down. So it's been a great 11 months. I can't believe it's already been 11 months, but we're just getting to where the foundational work is there, and we're going to see some really big changes in the next 6 to 12 months.
And it seems like throughout your career, you've obviously seen like a huge level of progression in terms of how you go from finance into fintech into now the AI enabled fintechs, and I think that it's continuing this kind of a full trend of just really trying to you know improve the process side of things so you can cut through as much of the paperwork and kind of the boilerplate that people have to go through and really get down to just the providing out value side of things. And so would love to hear a little bit from your side, kind of how you've seen some of the transitions over, even like the last, 5 or 6 years, going from, how people have gone about traditionally solving problems, and then what you're kind of like looking forward to now in the new LLM powered world.
Yeah, it's a great question. And what I thought 10 years ago about automation is nowhere near what's been happening in the last few years. So to look back 5 years, I mean, you're talking about COVID,
Hmm.
when everybody switched to hybrid. And I think that's where the entire mindset shifted, that it was automation, efficiency, and really the implementation of the early stages of AI. And I think the way I look at it and the way I've seen it evolve is twofold: internal processes and procedures. How do we make our team more efficient? How are we focusing on the right things where human touch is needed? And being okay with taking some of that manual, human led work away. People don't want to let go. They think it's stripping the value of their role, and really it just makes them better. So we've seen it. I've personally seen it on customer intake. From the marketing side, how are we leveraging models and technology to go out and select the right customers, leveraging data modeling, data selection, and then how are we optimizing each of our channels? The days are gone of going through this arduous process to build a website, to optimize all of your platforms, and that's just on the performance marketing side. In our sales process, how are we leveraging technology with our phone systems? It's not the typical dialer that you used to use. The advanced technology on these things is crazy now. So over the last 5 years, I've seen the front end more so, but then coming into underwriting, coming into loan funding, booking, servicing, seen tremendous growth. what's exciting for me is what's happened in the last probably 10 to 12 months of the acceptance of OpenAI into the world and ChatGPT and now connecting various systems. I have one specific gentleman on my team, we call him the AI czar. He is getting certified in every platform there is, and he is coming back with how do we connect this to this? And now it's the efficiency internally, but how are we also translating that to the borrower, our customer at the forefront to make everything easier for them, whether it's the application process, document upload, connection to their bank accounts, and then the servicing of the loan to provide that added value beyond funding. So again, over 5 years, it's really like landing on the moon.
Yeah.
And now what's happened in the last 10 months and the widespread, I think AI is one of those crazy buzzwords now and terms that people just throw out there. And they don't really realize how intricate it is within your business and the connectivity within every aspect.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think it's been a huge buzzword for a while. And I think that the what you said there for like the last kind of like 12 months is a timeline that we've seen a lot recently as well, where I think that, early, 2022, 2023, kind of the very first like OpenAI models start coming out. And then that's when the buzz really started. And everyone is, kind of like clamoring for like the best way to integrate them. And then I think that there was a, big kind of, pausing in a lot of industries of like, okay, like, is it going to work? Is it actually going to be secure? Like, how trustable is this? And so I think over the last kind of 12 months, we've had two big things happen. One, I think the models themselves have become more and more integrated with like a lot of the traditional cloud providers. And so as a result, people have started to be like, okay, like we're running everything on Azure or AWS anyway. Everything is baked in now. This is, getting us through a lot of these like security hurdles we had previously. And then two is the models just got better. The difference between being able to accomplish a task with like 80% accuracy versus like 95% accuracy is kind of the it's the flip between like whether or not it's usable at all. And I think that early on we had these kind of great demo products that people were able to ship, which was, hey, look at this thing, like in this one controlled environment it does this perfect job. But then when you start to actually bring it into a messy real life problem statement like underwriting, you see just the edge cases pile up. And it's been sort of a slow march forward to every few months, the accuracy is getting bumped up just a couple of percentage points here. And it's really like made this, kind of immediate switch over from can it be used very well or very reliably to, okay, now suddenly it's doing it, as well as a person could or better in terms of, if you have to go through and look at, a million documents, being able to do that manually just was never going to be possible.
Yeah, and at the heart of all this, you touched on it, it's compliance,
Hmm.
especially in our world, where that has been a slower roll. There are folks like myself that we can build 25 use cases for something, and you have to have that check and balance of is this safe? Are we opening ourselves up to something? Because again, it is such an unknown. So that crawl, walk, run approach, but I think a lot of compliance departments, the legal side of it is really catching up as well. And they're getting very comfortable very fast. So we've been able to really supercharge that throughout our organization. And it's really when you start to model out the efficiencies that we'll see in the next 6 to 12 months, it's unreal. Again, that doesn't replace a human being. It just makes us better and smarter and faster. And I think at the end of the day, you'll see that roll out to the borrowing experience, and customers are really going to be happy at the time they save and the convenience. And I know, you and I had talked about the role that this is playing, not just with what we do, but all of the small businesses that we're talking to. So we're looking at this twofold. How does it help our business? How can we get up to speed to be thought leaders in how to use this for a small business owner and really change that value add that a lot of lenders or any service provider wants to give to the small business owner so that they continue to come back and create that sticky ecosystem.
And I think you're absolutely right on this one. The same benefits that are, you're able to take advantage of right now in terms of just efficiency are going to be huge across the entire SMB market. And so we're part of the the San Francisco kind of startup ecosystem here. And one of the trends that we've started to see more and more is becoming really popular is being able to do more with less. We're starting to see more and more startups who they don't necessarily need to get 25 $50 million and build up a 100-person team to do something. Some of the most successful startups over the last couple of years have been like these 10 to 20 person skeleton crews, and they've just been able to do 10 times as much as what they would have been able to do before. And it's really because I think, like I said before, a lot of the boilerplate work is getting easier and easier to handle with AI. And I think this is going to be huge across the entire SMB market because most of the things that might dissuade somebody from starting a small business are going to be the you know getting my company registered, doing all the web development work, and getting that HR, payroll, compliance. These are all kind of paperwork processes that, when you add up together, takes a huge amount of work, almost like a full-time person's worth of work, just to like get all of the the boxes checked for you to get your business off the ground. And to so many people, I think that stands as like a barrier between hey, I want to open up a bespoke pottery shop or something like that, and I want to do this because this is literally what I want to do. I want to build this thing. I want to like run this business. And you're kind of confronted with like, oh well, now you have to like come up with like logos and brand assets and all this that it's just become easier and easier across the board. And so I'm expecting to see kind of this full surge in the amount of small businesses getting created and the efficiency, like how much they can do with a 10-person business.
Yeah, and I think it's also going to lead to expansion. People not having to scale up ridiculously to go into new markets. I've seen it. We've talked to a lot of customers. We're on the phones with customers every day. I'm a small business owner myself. Prior to joining FairSquare, I had a small consultancy, but I'm not a designer. I'm not, as long as I've been in marketing, drawing anything on paper was never going to work. But there are so many tools out there that allowed me to scale quickly, taking care of just from getting my LLC to any bit of paperwork and accounting to the brand side, the marketing side, hosting a podcast with a couple clicks of a button and a little bit of know-how and being able to fail quickly. I had a business going, and too much business that I didn't want to keep doing that. So we've seen it a lot, and I think there's with what's going on in the world now with the economy, people are going to have to be smart with the dollars they spend, and the more they can take on themselves with tools like ChatGPT or any website builder or any tax solution, all of it, where I think the value is going to come are the people that can connect all of them, so that it's not I have 17 different platforms to run my business. I have one way to do it to where there's the interconnectivity to handle all of it. And again, I have one person on my team that's dedicated to everything AI and looking at how marketing, the performance marketing, branding, the CX team, and the product team, seeing from 10,000 feet what they're trying to accomplish and incorporating everything into a seamless process to where you have your own chatbots that those are knowledge-based learning platforms now. So we can train and get people up to speed faster. We can communicate across division and really go to market faster. There are amazing tools that I think not just our business, but even the pizza shop owner, the truck driver, they're going to be able to do things that our parents never even thought would be possible. And we're at the precipice of, I think, something really big and positive.
Yeah, I think you did touch on one point there that's interesting to me, which is there is there's still a big missing link here, which is how do I connect all these tools together? And I think that is from from our perspective, we're like right in the thick of the the AI rush right now, and even on our side, like every day, I'm surprised by like tools that I didn't know existed yet. And I think that is still one of the big problems here, which is okay, you've got all these like industry specific tools or all these use case specific tools that do a lot of really amazing things. But how do you like pick the tools together? And like if I wanted to just say, hey, like I want to start a business, like where's my like one button that I can click just to, have the groundwork laid out for me. There might be one of these out here, but I think that that's probably still one of the big missing pieces is you've got to do all this research to pull together like, okay, I know the automations exist, like what tools do I need to find?
Yeah, and there are some companies that, or there are some very, very smart people that are working on that now. I've met a few at a few trade shows. And again, I think in the next 6 to 12 months, you'll have that tool. I saw it about 2 years ago with business formation. There was a company where you could do it was a marketplace, and you could literally go in, do all of your business formation documentation, but then they set you up with everything else.
Hmm.
I think you're going to get, these marketplace platforms or technologies that can connect depending on what kind of business you're trying to run, what tasks you're trying, just from the creative side. I see my team, hey, we have this platform for video, we have this platform for imagery, this platform for XYZ for web codeless front end web development. If you can connect all of that, I'm ready to invest.
That's I think that's still going to be one of the big ones. I know we have three or four platforms we use right now just for stitching together videos, and it's from one perspective as the the startup founder, I understand it. It's hard to go out there and build the tool that does everything, and so you have all of these point solutions put together. But then at the end user perspective, where you've got to still kind of like go in here and like move the information around between all your tools, it's a little frustrating. I do want to ask
Yeah,
a little bit on how, speaking of tools that you're using, how have things changed? You mentioned you've gone from chief marketing officer to chief customer officer. How has your marketing stack changed? How are you reaching your target user base? And then can you tell me a little bit about the kind of small business customers that you're working with and how you're going out approaching them, what type of marketing, what type of content works best?
sure. I've seen it change a lot. Again, being in fintech since 2009, the old, I'll say this right away, and it might be counterintuitive to this conversation, but I still love direct mail.
Hmm.
Direct mail is still the GOAT in my experience in this industry. Now, that has changed how you the partnerships you create with whether it's the bureaus or different data providers and the massive amount of data you take in from different partners and then creating your own snowflake instance and being able to digest that information, churn it, and make it actionable. That stack has changed dramatically. Even your CRMs, what you're able to do in your marketing automation, those have changed a lot. They're more user friendly, where before you had to have a full degree and certification to manipulate these. So we're very user friendly. We're going out now the way so our business, I've been in small business lending for 16 years, and the type of borrower has changed. So meeting them where they are, what platform, social media has taken off. The different types of content has really changed. Our strategies have had to evolve. In one business, we were looking at a higher earning customer, your doctors, dentists, veterinarians, licensed business professionals that are in different places, and you have to communicate with them on different platforms, on different channels. That has changed a lot in the last 2 to 3 years, where it's no longer everybody's on every platform. And so taking the data, getting the right data is everything. I made a joke about it in the past with a former colleague of, data is the lifeblood of our business. It really is. Because without data, you're at a very big disadvantage. So the way it's changed for me is number one is to focus on what data can we get, how many different vendors to create a profile of our typical borrower. So there's a lot of collaboration with our risk teams, our modeling teams. You have to take the input from your sales team, and then what's the appetite to the market for the type of borrower you can originate. So we're having to watch that. You have the macro things going on right now, like with the tariffs. That has changed how we market. It's changed who we market to. It's changed our sales process, our underwriting process. So again, on the tech side, we're using a wide variety of tools from, we just brought on Webflow for our websites that we're trying to speed up our ability to launch landing pages, have A/B testing, and just get to market faster with low development requests. And again, you still have your QA and QC. You have to make sure you're doing everything right, but you just have to get to market faster. Um, we're taking in data from multiple partners and then feeding that into all of the platforms that we're in to create much more beneficial targeting, beneficial to our budgets, getting the right message in front of the right borrower at the right time. From an internal team standpoint, we've had to bring more and more people into the conversation just because we have such a far reach. We've added in the product team to our division, where now we're taking in projects and getting the feasibility, the cost benefit analysis. What's the lift? Where's the research on which way we should go? So those decisions they're being made with much more information, handled with a professional team that has done this before. So again, we're becoming very efficient with our time, our money, and we're getting to market with better products. Right now, we're a lender that we're a short-term lender. We go up to $500,000. Our terms are typically up to 18 months, but we're expanding that. We're adding in a fully digital process that just launched called NF Express. So customers that need up to 50K, they can go on, never talk to anybody, and they can get approved and come back and take as much as they need when they need it. We do have the traditional loans. One part of our business that I'm really excited about is smallbusinessloans.com. That is going to be a platform where small business owners of any type, whether you're just starting up or you're seasoned, you can come in and really go deep and wide with our platform to find the right financial solution. Ranging from all the way up to an SBA loan from a smaller micro loan. They're also building out a platform that will give business services, kind of like what I mentioned before, whether it's business formation, it's insurance. So these things are all happening at light speed. And for our ability to come in, build those out and architect things that have a different value add to the small business owner, we're very excited about that. And then really just getting out and building these brands in partnerships. We've had some amazing conversations that over the next 12 months, you'll see this embedded finance really take off to where our platform is embedded in their user experience so that it is, minimal clicks to get the solution and you're pre-qualified. These are all goals we have. And I couldn't be more excited for this opportunity, but I'll always go back when we're in the room, there's an empty chair that has the customer and their picture on it. We have to keep them at the top of mind because small business owners are going through a lot right now. And we just want to be, when they're in need of anything, we want to make sure that we're who they think of first.
And I think that sounds like from your side, being able to just really scale up on the automation front has really, it's enabling things like you just mentioned there that weren't possible before, and that's
Yep.
the instant approval kind of $50,000 loans. I think that's one of those things where it was just a product offering you weren't able to really give before if you have to have the full operations effort of going through and underwriting every single one of those from like a manual
Yeah.
perspective. And so it really it enables people to do a lot more. Enables also, I mean, coming from somebody who doesn't necessarily like to hop on the phone all the time, love the idea of being able to go onto the website, put in some information, get the results back. So that's a big selling point on my side. It is funny you
Yeah. And
mentioned the mail too, as still being is mail still a part of your
yeah,
campaigns?
yeah. Surprisingly, direct mail it's still the lead origination channel for us. We have a lot of emphasis put on there. It's not the way it was before. We have so much better data that our targeting with the messaging, we're very dynamic with our content, our offers, the creative. We're testing anywhere from 5 to 10 different creatives at a time overall, and then everybody a one-to-one personalized experience in the content. Offers, approved offers, throughout our funnel. We're really leveraging that, but it's integrated.
Hmm.
Our email, our retargeting, our digital strategy. We're really going to start launching on the PR front. We've got a lot of exciting news, a lot of research. We're leveraging our own data. Partnerships, again, the ability to scale where I don't have to send direct mail, and we're focused on the customer experience overall. What is that, their digital pathway, the portals that we're getting ready to launch? All of it is really done to make the borrower's life a lot better. And in each step, we have the AI team that's coming in and saying, "Hey, we get this from a digital experience, but what can we do beyond that? There's a tool for this. There's a plug and play for this that creates value, and that logged in experience where they're gonna come back." I'm sure you, like me, you go through your inbox and you get offers left and right, and you kind of breeze through it. But we want to create a reason to come back. So that's been at the forefront of our mission. And again, the foundation is in place, and now is the fun part. So execution and timelines and deadlines are my new motivation.
No, I believe it, and the direct mail one is not as much as of a surprise to me. So I don't know if you know this, but I used to work at a startup, FairSquare, different FairSquare.
Different
This
fair
is
square,
a
yes.
different FairSquare. It was a Medicare brokerage, and so online, Medicare enrollments, and for us, 100% direct mail was just a really huge channel. And so it's one of those channels I think is, you know, sort of forgotten about, because a lot of times like everyone's just going for, hey, how do I like do Google ads, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, and I think that some of those channels are very saturated. I think email is becoming incredibly saturated. Every
Yeah.
it's the especially with the the AI SDR companies out there where you can set up give me a list of 10,000 people and send customized emails to all of them immediately. Whenever I open my inbox in the morning, it's just like I go through and just delete, maybe like, 2 dozen of them every day, where it looks
Yeah,
kind of
we
like customized, but I think
yeah.
that these channels are getting saturated. And so being able to do something a little different, something that has a bit more of like a human touch to it is really important right now.
We don't really focus on email as an acquisition channel. We have, a number of customers that come in and don't fund and fall off at various points of our funnel. And we brought a brand team in, which the company had never had. They worked with outside agencies. I've had folks, a lot of the senior leadership team that I have worked with me at not one, not two, but three or four companies prior. So I brought in this team, and the group that was already here was phenomenal. The email folks, the digital team. And so combining these folks that have a lot of experience in a lot of different industries, what we found immediately was we took all of our retention email, all of our nurturing, and our brand team partnered with the email team, and they've created magic. I mean, our click through rates have skyrocketed, and we were doing a lot of, sales rep, personalized type messaging, and that had worked for a while, but it got stale. And we came in and we really laid out a good architecture and framework for an email content strategy, whether it was what's going on in the world today around holidays or current events. But then we went to the research angle, and we're incorporating research from our business and from our borrowers to really create that connection and that value, that relatability to what we're marketing of transformation. Our loans are transforming businesses, and they've done it. National funding's been around for since 1999. Dave Gilbert, who's one of the pioneers of fintech, he has seen every up and down of economic shifts, and his companies have always grown. So we've been around. Again, we're the original. I would say one of the original fintechs. So we've seen a lot of that, and we have a lot of data, and we have a lot of customer experience. So we're leveraging that now, and we want to show the borrowers that transformation, the ease of use. There are a lot of, I always joke about this, but people are always looking for a reason to say no, and we're looking for that reason to say yes. So creating a good environment, using data, leveraging email, social media. We leverage all of our data in these platforms so that we can create an experience that reminds the borrower it's not always about you need a loan today, but what can we give you that helps you in your business? And then when you do need financing, we're here for you. So we have leveraged a lot. We've played into the podcast network world. We are planning some brand work on CTV, sponsorships, really getting out into the industries where we have a big presence and going back to that boots on the ground of trade shows and a lot of the older methods just to get our name out there and really create a connection with small business owners throughout the United States.
I mean, I'm a big fan of boots on the ground as well. I think that's one of those channels that will not be oversaturated by AI because you actually have to go out there and walk around and meet people. But
Yeah.
providing like good research data as a another type of like brand building is a huge channel as well. I think that's sort of like a rule of thumb I've heard is the 80/20 rule on content marketing of how much selfless versus selfish. And so 80% of the content focused around, hey, this is information that we've learned as part of building our fintech over the last 20 years, and this is how you can benefit from some of this, and this is what we've seen in the market, and these are the trends we've noticed with tariffs, and being able to give people that content. And then some portion of your content is always by the way, we're the one you want to work with. But I think
Yeah.
that
And I,
mix
we,
works. That's the one that people are people love to engage with something where it's actually helpful. When they can open your email and this is something useful for them. Keeps the click through rates way higher.
Yeah, and we have a long way to go, but everybody is pointed in the right direction. We have a research group that led by a woman that's been in this space for a while, and every day I'm amazed at. I wake up in the morning and I've got new research, and then what it's done for these research. See what AI has done for the research teams. We're training GPTs to monitor different things within the industry, within every not only the fintech space, but in marketing, in what are the latest trends, what's happening, how are tariffs impacting the trucking industry, how is it, we're getting fed so much information that you almost have to slow everyone down a little bit because it can be almost, you can get paralysis because you have so much information. But we've really been able to channel that, and again, we're building strategies to leverage this in the proper way and give it to our internal teams to educate them, but then also provide it to our borrowers so that they can use that to run their business. So again, the content and the value has to be there, or it's like walking out into Times Square and whispering.
Yeah.
It's another noise. It's another bit of distraction.
Yeah, and it's just it'll sometimes it takes just as much effort to go with the kind of like noisy approach as it does to go with the provide real value approach. And so if you're going to do it, definitely lean into the build a content engine that provides people with real value. I think that's absolutely going to be the way forward. And we've seen just the total like increase in noise across socials and across direct email over the last year. And I think that
Yeah.
it's gonna really come down to can you be creative? Can you be somehow unique here in the amount of like value and interesting data you're able to provide people?
Yeah, and I think the other thing that I see just from a marketing and overall brand and marketing perspective, people are afraid to test. They're afraid to fail. Everybody tries to be perfect. And personally, I've hosted a podcast. I did one season called Perfectly Imperfect, and it's the mantra I carry with my team. We have to always be on, always be testing, looking for that one nugget. And one of the funny things is we've found great success in some of our failures. We've done direct mail where you create beautiful creative and your amazing message, and it doesn't beat the control. It doesn't even come close. But then when you boil it down, hey, it was the audience selection. Who did this work with? How fast can we quickly take that information, that learning, spread it out to the other channels and say, this type of message, this type of offer, this type of creative, it's actually this small subset. And then you go. And so that was a big change that I brought to this organization was I'm okay with failure. You
Yeah.
know, I'll go stand in front of the board and my boss and say, "Hey, we swung the bat and missed." But get out there and test, bring the data back, pivot quickly, and then turn it into something. And it may take 2 or 3 rounds, and at the end of the day, you may see that none of it worked. But at least we can check that box and remove that doubt and really focus on other things. There's always a teaching in something.
Oh yeah, the being able to shorten that iteration loop is huge, and it's a another lesson. Yeah, really common in the startup world is if you're not embarrassed when you're launching, then you're launching too late. You
Yeah,
should you should always be launching the second it's roughly working, because you might spend a year out here polishing something that the market doesn't want, and so
yeah,
your intuition can only take you so far. It's really important to actually get that real time customer feedback loop and just be able to iterate it on it as fast as possible. And yeah, that means that 80% of the things you do will probably be failures, because you're just going through trying to cross off all the things that don't work. So you have
right.
that 10% of the bets that, okay, we know these work and we know how to double down on here.
Yeah, we've had the luxury where direct mail has always worked.
Hmm.
So again, we test a little bit, we do some things, but because of that consistency, we've been able to take swings in other channels with other ideas, and those are the things I think that going into again, everybody went all in on Facebook and the Meta platform a few years ago, and they were barely dipping a toe into some of the other channels, and they got caught flat-footed. And so I never want to, I tell my team all the time, they get sick of hearing it, but I don't ever want to get caught flat footed.
Yeah.
I believe it was Barry Sanders, one of the greatest running backs of all time, said, it's amazing to watch this guy run. He's never stuck. And he said, all I do is keep my feet moving because when that opening comes, I'm ready to go. And my team knows that I'm terrible with analogies. So the fact that I just made it through that story without screwing it up was pretty amazing.
That is no, it's a great story, and it's a great mental model as well to always be moving, and then always have multiple ideas. They're always running in parallel, especially when you have things like running everything through Facebook where you have platform risk. It's another bit of
Yeah,
advice is don't build your castle in someone else's kingdom, where
right.
they could at the click of a button turn off some ads that have been
Algorithm
working really well,
changes.
and that's
Yeah,
algorithm changes that's crushed so many businesses. Same with Google Ads models, and so being able to have kind of as many irons in the fire as possible is really a what keeps you alive, what keeps you running a business 20 years straight, is being able to
yeah.
remain adaptable.
And I think the last thing I'll say about that I think gets overlooked is the cheapest customer to acquire is the one you already have.
Hmm.
And my what we did at a previous company in fintech, we created a whole division around the funded borrower, and we treated them like gold. And that's what we're trying to do and build here. They've done a very good job. We have a lot of repeat customers, and that attention on renewals or bringing them back or seeing them go up to a graduated product, that is a mission in creating value for those folks. It's not just getting them in the door, but it's keeping them. We're a shorter term lender, so the more they're coming back to us because we help them and we gave them a good experience. So that is one where I see a lot of startups. They're so focused on acquisition that as they get a few, well, I only have a few customers. You better treat every one of them well. That is where you will scale because the value in their story and the word of mouth. I don't think that's focused on enough by marketers. That in our day to day lives, everything I do is based off a recommendation, the majority of it. So we are really focusing on that and creating how can we take technology and tools and give value beyond the initial transaction. So again, direct mail doesn't solve that. Meta ads don't solve that. That's where a human being and technology really come into play, and how you made them feel, and how they look at your brand.
And that's really you because you mentioned a lot of startups really fall for that trap as well of chasing new business and letting existing business wane. That's really something that has to be addressed kind of from a company culture really early on as well. And that a lot of companies will just only reward sales reps on like new business, and it's this huge push on new business, and then we'll fix churn later on. But it's kind of like loading water into a bucket with a hole in it. You're always going to be you're always going to be missing out here. You're always going to be losing business as fast as you can gain it. And so I think that having really strong retention numbers, having like a really great NPS score is huge, because you're right. Every product I use almost always comes from referrals. It's me talking to people in my business, in my network, and hearing about things. And so I think it's probably one of the harder to control channels is knowing when someone's gonna mention you to a friend of theirs in a conversation. But you'd really manufacture more luck here just by having a really good product experience and actually caring about people, because that's what's going to win at the end of the day.
Yeah, and it starts with your people. We are really putting an effort on an emphasis on that, and it has to be authentic. People can see through BS.
Yeah.
And companies, there are companies that do it well, and there are companies that you see it a mile away, that someone saw a meme or a post on social media, and they're following the next big trend, and the lack of authenticity will also harm you. So it starts with your team and your belief, and actually the owner and the founder. And if that is your mantra and that is your belief, it's believable. I know, again, Dave Gilbert, he cares about borrowers. That's why he does this, and he instills that in all of us. And so my obsession is the customer. Where it used to be great branding and great marketing, it really, that I still love that, but it is all about the borrower, about the customer, and how we're transforming their life, and that's infectious. You gotta believe it and want that, and again, that can lower all of your other costs and your KPIs. So it has to be authentic, and again, don't overlook your borrower, or don't overlook your current customer.
And that's where the chief customer officer title comes in. So all right. Well, Chris, I really appreciate all the time today. It's been great just to kind of chat through generally how how tech is changing things in the fintech space, especially over the last year. And then I think the bigger focus here is just how do you continue to run a great business, and then how do you really reach your demographics, and tell them what you do, and keep everyone happy. And so it's really interesting to learn from you, and you've got an amazing amount of experience doing this, across the last 10 years. So it's awesome stuff.
Thank you very much, Tyler. It was great to be here. And, again, I think what we see in the next 10 to 12 months will make your head spin, and all for the better. So I'm excited to be on board and look forward to seeing how you guys do. And hopefully we can chat again.
Yeah, likewise. We'll set a date for 12 months from now and see see where things have landed. All right. Talk later, Chris.
Thanks, Tyler.